So welcome to today's webinar. We are talking about goal setting today and how to keep focused using goal setting as well. For those of you who don't know Hive, but I think most of you do, maybe Connie, James and I are part of Hive Collective. We're based in Waltham, Stowe, and we're a business network. We run events, online meetups and trainings and webinars like this. And we're really here to help you get to know other businesses in Waltham Forest and ideally partner and help each other out with your businesses and all of us rise up and make each other more successful. So I'm Nat Harrison. I'm based in Upper Waltham, Stowe, and I'm a local career and small business coach. I work with small businesses on anything from their visioning, goal setting to pricing or setting strategy or overcoming barriers that are causing them not to be as successful as you could be. Over to James.
Hi everyone. So yeah, I'm James. Thanks, Nat. I'm almost local, so I live in Clapton, so just the other side of the Lee Bridge roundabout. I run my own creative consultancy, so we work with businesses, local authorities, education providers, charities, arts organisations, generally around marketing. So when they're making a creative commission, we work to make that commission more effective. But I also work extensively as a business advisor, specialising in the creative industries, but I also specialise around things like marketing, social media, digital marketing, etc. Cool.
So we are here today as part of the Elevate programme. Elevate is for this part of Elevate anyway, is for businesses from 0 to 3 years and pre-starts. And there's also another section which is for scale up businesses over 3 years old. It's supported by the London Borough of Waltham Forest. It's from the Business Recovery and Growth Fund, and it's been primarily delivered by Crape St James's with other local partners. So we're going to get started to just have a feel for what your thoughts are around goal setting. I've got a quick poll, so I'm going to throw that up there now. And the question is, how confident are you that your current goal setting process is helping you to achieve your business vision? So just gut feel. If any, yes. Yeah. Gut feel between 1 and 10. 10 being I'm absolutely nailing this goal setting and I know what I'm doing. 1 being what are goals. Yeah, that's good to know. So we've got 3. We've got 3 people answer. I think anyone else want to add? Gareth or Aga, if you want to help. Right, 1, 2, 3.
Morning. I've put my vote in.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
They're all in now.
They're all in. Okay, right. I shall share. So we've got a 2, a 3, a 5, 2 6s, and a 7. Okay, then we got something to work with. So hopefully you are in the right place then. We're just going to go around and introduce ourselves because it's nice to get to know who's here, and we'll be doing some exercises together. So James, do you want to do the honours?
Absolutely. Okay, so let me have a look on the board. So Sandra, do you want to introduce yourself?
I'm Sandra. I'm in Haringey and I teach local community art workshops.
Fantastic. Liz?
Hi, I'm Liz. I'm in Upper Walthamstow and I run an online yoga studio.
Fantastic. Aga?
Does that work, Aga?
Trying to unmute yourself. Let me try it.
I'll introduce Aga.
Okay.
So Aga, maybe you saw it. Aga runs a local charity or basically a small business that helps people get into skateboarding, particularly with a focus on girls. They're currently trying to raise money to get an indoor skate park in the borough. So she's been working on that for some time. And hopefully we'll have a skate shop too.
Fantastic. Teoman?
Hello, everyone. This is Teoman. I'm one half of MIM Studios, which is a small architectural design practice based in Hackney. So I'm also almost local. Yeah.
Fantastic. The almost local collection. Connie?
Yeah, I've sort of contacted the Elevate to Grow business. So I've got a business advisor from there. So that's how I found out about this.
What is it you do, or you're going to be doing?
So I've got it's dressing up clothes for adults, basically, for sale and hire. And I trade from Wood Street Market.
Fantastic. I won't let you know about my secret passions. I've got a whole wardrobe of
Oh, please do. Please do. And it's all vintage or pre-loved clothing and accessories.
Fantastic. Well, good. Well, hopefully you'll get into work and you'll be able to stay for the session.
Yeah. Sorry, I've just realised I left something in the...
No worries. Gareth, do you want to...
Morning all. Yeah, I'm Gareth Frederick. I'm a local musician, guitarist. My main work at the moment is doing private tuition, and that varies from more formal stuff, students that are working towards their grades, and also students who just want to learn songs that they like, really. And that's one of the main things I like doing, is taking their songs of choice and using those as little vehicles to learn all sorts of music and things. Also, I'm feeling awful today. I've got some kind of allergy, hence I'm not on camera, just to save you the image of me. But I'll try and stay on for as long as possible. But lovely to meet those of you who have not met before, and yeah, some familiar faces from last week as well. So yeah, good morning.
Oh, well, I hope you feel better soon. Just so you know, it's really, I think we've covered everybody on the list. Shout to
yes, we have. Yes.
What's really good at these sessions is it's a chance to network. There's always a chance to kind of get to know each other. So if you want to share your contact details in the chat, it's a really useful way for people to see. So whether that's your social media handles, your website, your email, whatever you want. But it's that moment of piquing your interest in somebody.
Cool.
Oh, hi. I'm back. Sorry, my phone was not working. Yes, Nat, thank you very much for the introduction. It was very good. I just want to say, yes, I'm Aga. I'm a founder of Everyone on Board. And yeah, we are a community interest company focusing on delivering programs and events. But the main thing is empowering the next generation into action sport. And yes, what Nat said, yes, the indoor skate park is there and it could happen. Who knows? Yes.
We hope so. Yeah, maybe Gareth could do some guitar playing at your skate park, because I'm sure you have similar client base. So anyway, so we'll get started with today's webinar. We've got it broken down into two sections, really. The first section, we're going to talk about what goals are and how you go about goal setting. And we're going to do a financial goal setting exercise. And then in the second part, we're going to talk about a goal setting process, what would work for you, and helping you to try and set some goals and have a go at them today. So, it's very friendly. If you've got any questions, very, easygoing. It's really about you learning. So if you've got questions, or if you want to have a discussion about something, we've got time for that too. So just to recap on last week, where we were talking about visioning. So really, from a sort of business hierarchy standpoint, you have a vision of what you're trying to achieve in your business, like where is the destination. Then you have a mission, which is how you're going to go about business, really, with a view of getting to your destination of your vision. And goals sort of fall next in the hierarchy, in that they're a set of statements, and they can be quite small goals or quite big goals that help you identify, actually, this is a concrete piece of work or concrete thing that's going to happen that I can actually visualize, and it's something that I'm going to actually set some strategy around achieving. So that's kind of how they're cascading. So just, you know, to get started talking about our experiences of goal setting, James, what do you find are the benefits of goal setting for you?
I think the key thing with goal setting is that it gives me movement inside the business. So the idea, that sense of a roadmap, you know, if mission is the sort of how you're going to achieve something, then my set of goals are sort of the roadmap for that journey. The reason I think goal setting is really important, the reason why I push it with other people, is I find personally it gives me some peace of mind, because when I've sat down and refreshed myself about where it is I want to get to, my destination, my vision, I can then sort of just take some logical plotting, and the goals are like the logical plotting. And as long as I've got them and they're on my to-do list, then I feel a bit more reassured that pathway is in a much more stronger place to be achieved. So for me, the biggest benefit is peace of mind.
Yeah, so it's like, it's not like having this kind of out there thought about, oh, actually, you know, I'd like to set up a new service in my business, and then waiting for it to happen.
Yeah.
It's like, actually, I know how this is going to happen, and it's been broken down into manageable goals, and I know what those goals tangibly look like. So I completely get, you're right. It's like, it gives you that sense of control almost.
There's nothing worse than that explosion in your mind, or 1,000 clouds flying around. And often people talk about feeling unanchored or unsteady, and we're unstable. And it often comes back to goals, then they just haven't got any in place. So they have no idea. They're kind of organically growing, which is putting so much risk, because you don't know if it's going to happen or not.
Yeah.
How do you do different? I'm sure you do it different, but different, not only different in colours.
Well, for me, I guess one of the main benefits of goal setting has been that I've been doing goal setting for a very long time, like over 10 years, and I do it in one book. So I can actually reflect back, looking back through those years of what I've achieved and what goals I've set, and it's really it really gives you confidence that I am progressing. You know, my business isn't stagnating. I'm not just doing the same thing year in, year out. I am challenging myself and achieving those challenges, and it makes you feel really good. So I think, you know, just having something I think keeping your goals around you is a great thing, even like historic ones, and being able to just look back one day and go, look how far I've come. Because so often in business, we're always on to the next thing, aren't we? We're like, okay, what do I need to achieve now? What's this year's target? What's the new thing I've got to do? And you don't actually take stock. And, you know, it actually creates a feedback loop to the brain when we acknowledge what we've achieved, and it motivates and gives us confidence to go on to set more goals and achieve more, which is, you know, fantastic. But and also I think you like, it's similar to what you were saying about you know, the peace of mind thing. For me, it's about I often procrastinate if something's too big and airy fairy, and if I can actually see how one goal cascades into another, and it's more manageable, broken down chunks, then, you know, I'm much more likely to just get on and do things rather than just sitting back thinking, I'm not quite sure how this is going to work. You know, so to just give you an example, with Hive, we've been looking for a new sponsor recently, and so you know, last year I was working on doing a sponsors document in order to, you know, so we can share with people. Then we've been, you know, this quarter we're focusing on the goal is to identify 6 potential sponsors and how we can reach out to them, and then in the next quarter the goal will be to sign up a new sponsor. So just to give you an example of how that might work. So why do we need to set goals? So being a coach, it's kind of in, you know, this is my whole essence of how I work and how I work with small businesses. all coaching interactions are goal orientated. We only have a discussion when we know what we're talking about in that discussion. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Excuse me. So there has to be, so a goal gives you a direction, again, a bit like a vision, but it also drives action, because you can't ignore, like, if I want to get 10 new clients this year, or if I want to double my my sales, you can't just sit and carry on as you were before. You've got to make a change, and that if that goal being in front of you helps you to drive that action and actually move forward. Another thing about goals is that it's about being clear on what you're trying to achieve, because you've no idea how you might go about achieving something unless you know what it is you are trying to achieve. In a way, like lots of my clients are like, oh, I need to improve my social media, or I need to do this, and it's like, well, actually, what is the goal there? And unless you focus on the goal, which might be to actually increase your sales via social media, the goal around social media isn't it's not really achieving anything as such. And goals, so it's about creating focus. It's about having a tangible understanding of what achieving your goal might feel like, and it stops us being scattergun in our approach to our business. The other thing about keeping us focused is that goals are actually quite motivating, and they're especially motivating for those of us who are competitive, or those of us who are achievement focused and like to-do lists. So it's a really good way of keeping you on track with your business. Also, if you are that sort of person, stretch goals are really, really motivating. A stretch goal is something that, it's kind of an added extra. It's the cherry on the top. It's like, okay, well, I want to do this with my business, but actually an extra goal might be to learn a whole new skill that you can bring a service into your business, which would be a nice to have. It's not necessary for the business, but it can be something that can be really motivating as well, and make you feel challenged and exhilarated on your business. So it's really, I hope I've convinced you that there is there's a lot of benefit to goal setting, and it can be really important. From a neuroscience standpoint, I'm always very interested in why we would do this from a brain perspective. Apparently, recent studies have shown that actually the structure of the brain is changed when we're goal setting, and it causes us to basically perceive that we'll succeed at goals, and also behave in ways that cause us to achieve our goals as well. So, kind of interesting how you're sort of working with how your brain wants to behave.
I suppose on that point, because I find that there's an odd thing that happens, that sometimes when you set a goal and you start saying it out loud, it's almost like opportunities come out of magic. I'm not saying it is magic, but I think it's my awareness to those opportunities is heightened. Also, by sharing your goals, it kind of helps people to match the right need, because you said this is the particular bit that I want to focus on. So it's interesting with that sort of brain reference, how it kind of just makes you more alert.
Yeah, well, and I think it comes back to sorry, I might have dropped a bit. It comes back to the old saying that you get what you focus on. And that's what it is, when if you are aware that you're trying to achieve something, then you're more likely to do little things that will move you along that way. You're also more likely to be filtering out for people who can help you. So yeah, that's kind of how it works. I mean, from a neuroscience standpoint as well, apparently, like, challenging goals can create an emotional resonance which alter our brain as well. So I think it's a good reason to set ourselves challenging goals and not play small in our business, not just be setting goals that are like, okay, I want to have the same turnover as last year and I want to maintain the same client level, etc. yeah, so that's a bit about goal setting. Now I think like we should probably talk about how do we work out what goals are. So James, you want to just tell us a bit more about that?
So there's an exercise that whenever I coach anybody or do business advice, I always use with them, but I use it on myself too. So I like to ask myself, what does good look like? So I set a sort of time frame. So and it tends to be a bit of a stretch. So maybe 3 or 5 years from now, if I was going to be in that moment and the business had gone really well, I sort of asked myself, what would have changed? So a bit like that visioning exercise that we did, but I'm bringing this into the fore, and then I'm saying, then what are the attributes that will have changed? If I was to describe how the business is in detail in that 3-year or 5-year point, what are the attributes and how have they changed the way the business operates, and have they changed the way my life, the impacts on my life? So, for example, an aspiration might be that I want to, in my 3-year world, I'm able to take 4 blocks of 3-week holidays. Yeah. And so that, that's got a real benefit. And therefore the change that might have come about is that I've started winning work that has a much longer delivery period. So therefore I'm able to plan. So I've moved from maybe a situation where most of my work comes in and out in 1 month, and therefore I'm never too sure if I leave whether I'll be missing work, to a point where I'm winning work that covers a 6-month period, and therefore I can plan in my own leave. Or it might be that I worry less about the ups and downs in the business. So in that 3-year position, I'm worrying less about the operational element, and the goal might be around building up a 6-month reserve inside the business. So if I've got 6 months worth of cash, then I worry less about the day-to-day because I've got that measure. Or it might be that I'm spending less time chasing work. So, lots of inquiries and then lots of chasing, but none of them really convert, or not enough of them convert. And the goal for that might be around improving my customers' awareness or my inquirers' awareness of my exact skill set, so that I'm getting inquiries that are a much better match for what I'm offering, and therefore the probability of converting is higher. So that's the way I tend to do it. And I know, Nat, you have and this is the interesting thing about goal setting, is that there's no right or wrong. It's about finding the method that works for you. So you have a very different. You're a bookkeeper. I'd love to be able to keep a book with all my goals in, but I'm a post-it note type that go in the bin.
Yeah, so I keep mine in books. I would say I goal set for all of life. I goal set holistically, because I see very much myself as a business owner being part of how I operate with my family and also with myself and the ways I want to personally develop. So excuse me, I tend to set high level sort of long-term goals for the business initially, and then I'll whittle it down to be quite specific. So for instance, at the moment I'm trying to do 10 client consultations a month, which is bringing enough traction in so that I get enough conversions for new coaching clients. I try to deliver a couple of medium-sized business programs like Elevate a year, or one large one. So I know that this Elevate's already ongoing. I'm looking for the next one at the moment. And also I set personal development goals. So at the moment I'm looking for a neurodiverse coaching course so that I can expand my skill set. I put a date by that I want to have done that course by November this year. So yeah, I think it's however works for you. Doing something is better than doing nothing. And even if you're using 3 high-level goals for the year, it's going to drive you to achieve more than not actually thinking about where the business is going at all. So as I mentioned about the size of goals, goals can be sort of split up into the time frame for them. So short-term goals would normally be in the next 3 months, or maybe 6 months. Long-term goals would be 6 months plus to 3 years. Sorry, medium term would be 6 months plus up to 3 years, and then long term would be 3 years plus. I would say that having, about 7 goals is probably about right, because that's about how much we can cope within our mind to focus on at any one moment. So maybe 1 long-term goal, 2 medium, and 3 or 4 short-term goals is a good thing to start with. And I think it's worth thinking about how those goals map into each other, or how they interact with each other. And James, I know you've got a nice way of looking at it.
Yeah, I tend to talk about goals like gear changes, like, when you're riding a bike. So if you're going up a hill, obviously gear changing is really helpful because it builds up your momentum and your ability to tackle that hill. But when you're riding the bike, before you make the gear change, you need to check a certain amount of conditions are in place. Like you've got enough speed up to be able to maintain a new gear, and you've got enough force. You can see where you're going in the future, etc. Down the road. So when you're going up a hill, you can't go 0 to 100 in terms of gear changes. You've got to click through each of them, and I think that's how I kind of. That same as, I suppose it's a different way of saying what Nat said about, you've got your long-term goal, which is the top of the hill, but you've got your medium-term and short-term ones that are your clicks through the gears. So breaking gears or goals, too similar, aren't they, as G's, but into bits, into steps is really key.
Yeah, and I think categorizing goals is quite a good thing to do. I'm just going to share some categories in the chat. But yeah, I think with goal setting, we can easily just pick the goals that we're drawn to, and we want to actually we would enjoy doing in our business, and then forget about some of the goals that we should have. Excuse me. So I think, definitely financial goals have to be set. So thinking about your turnover that you want for the year and your salary, thinking about business development or strategy goals. So like, where do you want your business to develop this year? Or what sort of business development do you want in your business? Planning and tracking, so number of hours that you want to work or number of products. Digital touch points, what do you want to do with your website this year, your social media? What about your client or customer understanding? Do you need to do any client relationship management stuff? Do you need to get help? Do you need some employees or contractors or virtual workers to help you? Any partnerships and collaborations you want to do maybe this year? Definitely goal setting around a marketing plan, maybe just updating it periodically would be a great thing to do. And if you want to do any PR or traditional advertising campaigns, obviously launching new products and services would be on there and would be something we'd naturally all write goals around. And then maybe thinking about your brand. Does you need a rebrand for the year? Do you need to have someone review your brand for consistency? Do you need better collateral? And then organizational and operational efficiency and financial management. So I think just going through that list is quite useful to go, actually, I should really be setting a goal on this, but I hadn't really thought about it.
And I think building on that, the other thing that I find people miss is they don't ask the why of goal setting. So I work with lots of people, and it quite often comes up, from clients as well as small businesses. They say, I want to increase the number of followers on social media, and that's fine. It's something, they have a target and they've made it specific, but I then say to them, but why? And then they go, and it's that if you haven't asked yourself the why question when you're goal setting, you could end up with a whole catalogue of things you're doing, but as a goal for goal's sake. So, for example, I encourage everybody to answer the question, which means that. So, I'll give you an example. If you want to increase social media followers by, I don't know, 50%, then you ask yourself, which means that? And then you go, okay, fine. It could mean visits to the website go up. Great. Which means that? more people might buy my products and service. And then we're getting to the nub of why you've got that goal. So a better way of writing the goal might be, instead of saying I want to increase followers to 1,000, it might be saying I want to increase sales via the website by a percentage that reference social media as the main referral pathway. And that way you've got something you can measure, you can look back on, and you've got a reason why it's in the business. So always when you're goal setting, ask yourself, like an annoying James West on your shoulder, which means that. I've put those examples in the chat.
Thanks. And also we've come to it, and I guess you guys are probably aware that goals should be smart. So I think this is probably what you'd expect to see at a goal setting webinar. Everyone talks about SMART goals. They annoy everyone a little bit, but I think being pragmatic about making sure that there's some level of measurement and that they're specific enough so that you know what they are is a good thing to do. So SMART is an acronym that stands for specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time bound. So just to be clear that as using James's analogy, you want to increase your social media following by 50%. Measurable, that 50%, right? Where are you at now? Write that down. Know what 50% is. Maybe that's 2,500 to 5,000. Checking that it's achievable. Like, what are you going to need to do to achieve this goal? And do you have the capability or resources? Do you need to get someone to help you? Do you need to just pay for a social media manager? Check it's realistic. Is it the right time to be doing this goal? I would definitely reflect over the last 2 years that many people had goals that they just had to shelve because COVID was just not good time for them to be focusing on changing their business in that way. And make sure that they are time bound. Make sure you put a milestone on things. If you do nothing else, put a milestone on things, because without that deadline coming, careering, headlong at us, we often don't take action. So that's a really good thing to do. As I mentioned, financial goals are the most important, and so we're going to do an exercise today about just even what is the most basic financial goal you need to set, which is about your income and how does that translate into what your business does in terms of products or services. So I'm going to share my screen with all of you. And we've got, by the way, I'll warn you, it's a spreadsheet and it's a calculation.
Connie just asked, have you got a question, Connie?
Yeah.
You're muted. Let's get you unmuted. You're muted on the...
Mute, sorry.
Okay, boom.
You see, I'm not used to these things. Yeah, I just wanted to expand on Nat was saying about the...
Yeah, come on.
Oh, my carry on. Oh, just change screens. There we go. Yeah, about setting SMART goals, because I think it goes right back to the beginning. Because over lockdown, I was lucky enough to get a business grant, and I thought, great, I can set up a website, go online. That's the thing to do. That's the right thing to do. Bearing in mind, I'm a sole trader, but because of this money, I was able to pay people to help me build a website. So I did a really swanky website, got models, big photo shoots, blah, 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 blah. And, I set out I achieved that goal. I set it out. But what I didn't research was what was involved after doing the website.
Sure.
And I had no idea that I would have to do so much. I didn't know about digital marketing at all.
Sure. Well, I'll tell you what, we let's pick this back up at the end, because we're doing an exercise on long-term, medium and short-term goals. And I think I can a lot of it is sometimes about when you're planning your goals, plan them as a whole. and that exercise will help you plan as a whole,
Right.
and give you that, you build on that lesson you've had of,
But
I've achieved one thing, but what about the wider things outside of it?
I'm trapped now because I'm trapped with a website I'm not making any sales.
Sure.
And I'm not in a position to employ anybody to help me.
Sure. Well, I think the specifics on that, we can't answer in the webinar because we haven't got time. But if you book a one-to-one through Elevate, you'll be able to work with somebody that will be able to give you specific advice.
I've done that. It's just, I just wanted to emphasize the importance of making sure you're making the right goals in the first place. Before you end
Thank you. That's a very good example.
Well illustrated. Well illustrated.
But I think, I think this is about, you can have a theme for your goals, really. And, a theme for all of us would be to increase our sales. And then the goals underneath would be like, how are you going to do that? But I think the question is like, how was your website going to increase your sales? And then really, was it realistic in order for you to support that website? Yeah. So yeah,
we live and learn.
Yes.
Okay, so we've got a calculation here. James is going to share a link to the spreadsheet in our Google Drive. You are very welcome to either just actually do a copy. You should be able to take a copy, or just write this down on a bit of paper. To be honest, this is kind of a back of a fag packet envelope type calculation, so feel free to just go for it. So starting off, we need to think about what we want to earn, and I think I've just plumped for 45 grand here because it's under the higher tax rate threshold, but just thinking, what do you really want to be earning in your business? And maybe be realistic about that. What do you want to be earning in your business this year? If you earn like 10 grand last year, you're probably not going to earn 50 grand in it this year, but where you are in terms of growth. So I've broken this down. There's this spreadsheet set up as a calculation. Has everyone managed to bring it up, or is looking at it at all? I think, Connie, you might be better off just following the sheet and then having a look afterwards. So I'll just talk you through the calculation, and then we can help you get sorted on the spreadsheet after. So say you want to earn 45 grand. I've then divided this by 12 for 12 months. And there is your monthly salary that you're going to need. You then need to pro rata it for holidays. So for simplicity, I've said that I'm going to take 2 months holidays a year, and for 10 months a year I will work. So it basically increases your salary requirement, or your salary in those 10 months, so that you understand what you need to be actually doing to work towards that income coming into your business. If you work part-time, you're going to need to pro rata that as well, for the number of days a week. And then you need to add on expenses. So over on the right hand side, I've put some sample expenses up there of how much things might cost. But yourself, I think it definitely, if you don't have a handle on how much expenses are going out of your business every month, a good goal today would be to understand what that is and have that figure with you all the time, because you've always got to be thinking of when you make a sale, thinking, but actually I know that 500 quid's going out the door, or those 200 pounds are going out the door before I even can take anything for myself. So once I prorated this part-time, by the way, this is not my life, it's my dream life of working 3 days a week for 10 months of the year, earning 7.5 grand. Once you've added your expenses, you know that on a monthly basis you need to bring into the business 7,700. And then it's, as I said, it's like the back of an envelope type calculation. You literally just divide it by the price of your service. So if you're a business, if some form of consultant, or you're a freelancer, you just divide it by how much you would charge for a consultation, and that's how you need to do 77 consultations. I think that's monthly, actually I put that wrong. If you're a photographer and you charge 800 a shoot, you divide the 7,700 by 800, and you need to do 10 shoots in the month. I'm going to change that to month.
And just a note on here is that when you're looking at, because Connie might have a whole variety of products, you might just want to break them for the sake of this into 2 average prices. My high ticket items are roughly, I don't know, 30 quid per piece, and my low ticket ones are 5, and just put some rough numbers. It's not worth overcomplicating at this stage when you're trying to get a sense.
Yeah, because we're looking to just get a ballpark. We just want to have a number to focus on, to play with. It doesn't have to be the nuts and bolts that your accountant will do for you afterwards, or something that you were doing cash flow forecasting, for instance. So for me, if I need to work out that if I charge £100 a session, then I know that I need to do 77 sessions over the month. And if I've got a product, if I charge my average price is £10 per product, like James was saying, or £30 for a higher price point, I know I need to sell that many. And that's net. That's before any wholesale marginings going in, or the cost of the goods as well. So it's worth noting. If you do have a service business and you need to be doing, be actually generating new clients, you can also start to calculate what that is. So if I need to do 100 consultations over the month, I need to do 77 consultations over the month, I know that what that might work out in terms of client conversions and generating more new inquiries. So it's just really just working through this calculation for you and trying to come up with some numbers, and then James and I are around to help you or ask you help you or look at the calculation and see how we can tweak it for you, if that makes sense. Has anyone got any questions? Obviously feel free to not do it now and take the spreadsheet with you if you don't feel well, Gareth. So we're going to just take 10 minutes just to have a go at this ourselves, and if you want us to work through it, we can, so just let us know. Connie, do you want us to have, you haven't got, can you not see it?
I can see it, yeah. But am I just choosing any figure?
Well, I would think about, just start off with
it's going to take 10 minutes just to come up with that figure.
Well, I think the figure can be a gut feel, so it can be like, what do you want, what do you personally want to take out of the business this year?
Well, there's lots of things, but I'd like to be making enough sales so I can employ someone to do my digital marketing.
Okay.
That's
okay. So say you're gonna, again, because it's back of an envelope type thing. Say you're gonna have to pay someone. What would you sort of say? £700,000 a month to do digital marketing?
I don't know. I'd have to work that out. It's not something I could come up with straight away in my head.
It's interesting, this point. It's amazing how many people in the early stages of running a business haven't thought, what do I want to be earning from it? And often people are completely stumped when you ask the question. But fundamentally, that's one of the reasons why you're running your own business, is so that you could earn your own salary, but you haven't decided or even got a sense of where it is. So without knowing that, you've got no chance of achieving it. Yeah. So I think one of the other things to mention is sometimes in the early stages of running a business, you think, well, whatever figure I come up with here would be ludicrous because I can't take any money out of it at the moment. So sometimes that exercise that I do of looking a little bit into the future and saying, okay, in 2 years' time or 3 years' time, what salary would you like to be paying yourself? Because it's a little bit further removed. And then you can almost work backwards once you've got that figure. But it's really important to know what you want to be earning.
And I would go with gut feel, to be honest. Like
Yeah.
if you feel like
Yes.
things are too up in the air at the moment, oh, I think you lost me. If you feel that things are too up in the air, then just go for aspirational. So maybe do in 3 years time and then work it back. But it, I think it, for me, whenever I'm working with a client and they're just trying to earn a living out their business, I'm like, an aspirational salary of 40 grand is good, right? Because it's under the tax threshold. It brings in enough to pay your bills and have some extra. So just maybe start off working with that, and then because as well, what it will do is it will make you understand actually how many units you need to be selling on a monthly basis, and that's what you need to know, because that's a goal. That is a management goal, or even breaking it down to I need to make so many sales a week, and then are you anywhere near making those sales? If you're away, so far away from making those sales, what are your other routes to market? Like if it's unrealistic, then you've got some questions to ask about what you're going to do with the business.
Oh, can I just say something? I think maybe it's kind of confusing them. If we set a goal for 45k, I think it's more realistic if we're looking like the monthly salary as is more achievable, for example, like 3,700 than at the moment, I think on everyone's kind of like goal, thinking about £7,000, salary will be quite, okay, how do I do the revenue for 7,000 a month? Yes.
Well, the 7,000 is just an example to explain. You need to factor in holiday time, and you need to factor in the actual amount of hours you work in the week.
Yeah.
If you're working a full 40-hour week, and you're not going to take that many holidays, then £4,000 a month probably is something to work for. And that again might be aspirational. I know a lot of businesses that are taking, are not even paying tax on their income from the business because they're doing it as a side gig and they're just earning about 12 grand a year. Well, fine, but you want to be thinking about, okay, how much can you push that up this year?
Everybody, who knows?
Oh,
I think we lost Nat.
Have you lost me?
So yes.
We hear.
Aga?
Yeah. No, I'm just kind of like trying to analyze.
Now we lost you, just so you know, you paused. You got lost in there. So I think so. And a business could be on 12k, as your annual earnings, and could have no holidays, and no, and that'll bring the threshold down. But you've got to start with what goal you want to hit, and then work about what the implications mean before you start. Don't always just go in the lowest because you think it'll be the easiest, because that may not give you your satisfaction in what you want from life in general.
Yeah, so I think, again, it's just getting started with this calculation and just having a play around with it. So, okay, this is what it takes to get to that number. And, then you can say, look, maybe, I need to, if you're a photographer, or if you're a yoga instructor, that you need to have, 100 paying clients in that month for you to take home what you want to be earning. So how do you get to that 100 paying clients? Well, that pretty much translates into, if you have 10 people per class, you need to run 10 classes. If you've got 4 weeks of the month, how many classes is that a week? It's 3 classes a week at least. So it's just about understanding, in order to get somewhere, these are the sorts of numbers you want to be thinking about. And then it cascades the goals down. So Liz would know, actually, in order to earn the salary I want to earn, I need to be doing 3 classes a week. A stretch goal would be 5 classes a week. And ultimately, I'd like a full, a full busy business. So I'd get to 10, but the goal for this year is just, is where it's at, and then where you're heading. That makes sense. Has anyone managed to work it through for themselves and have any thoughts about it?
Yeah, I try to play around with it. I think it's quite. I'm one of those, as you said, that started without any notion of how much I should earn, how much if it will survive. So I think this is really helpful for me to get to start thinking about it. What I find a bit harder, and maybe you could have some feedback, is that I'm not selling a product. I'm providing a service, and so when I'm trying to price what I would get from it, it's the time frame of when I get the full payment, and it just really blurs up my how I should kind of work it out in here. What would be a good way to do that? I'm not so clear.
So I sound my.
If there are any tips of that would be helpful.
Yeah.
But otherwise, I'm happy to also continue playing around with it.
I think the key thing is, so I sell services, marketing services into clients. And for this exercise, I would break it into 3 categories. And I would say, this is a big project with a client over 6 months. And on average, I'm assuming therefore 25 days of my time. And then this is a medium project, and this is a small project where it might be a day's job in and out. And the time frame of which delivers doesn't matter too much, but that's just how I would analyze my averages, and that therefore I'd put a number in against them. So I'd replace consultations, full day shoots, and days of work with those 3 types of averages to give me a sense of how many big contracts I need to win. And it might just be 1 a year to that level, or it might be 5. And you can and it starts giving you a choice to say, can I achieve those level of sales? With that combination.
Yeah, and I would add that it's not a cash flow spreadsheet. A cash flow spreadsheet is something different.
Yeah.
What you're trying to do is work out what measurable number do you need to put in your goals.
Yeah, no, in that sense, it's already eye-opening, to say the least. But it's one of those things, I think, that is great to see. As you said, this might be a simple way to start it, but I think being shown that simple way to start it is already so helpful for things to click. I think, especially with people, I think like myself, which don't have the business mindset, if you know what I mean. So it's very helpful.
My mum always says, KISS, keep it simple, stupid. And I'm a great believer that with anything in business, it's always good to start with the simplest first and then work upwards. The danger is you dive into something that's far too detailed and you get lost and confused. Whereas actually, these are.
When you see the mountain, it's just freezing.
Exactly. We like speed bumps, not mountains.
So talking of keeping it simple, I'm about to move on to the goal setting, how to actually have a goal setting process. With this spreadsheet, you've got the link. Please just take a copy of it and save it into your own drive and have a play around. And if you've got any questions, don't hesitate to give me or James a shout and we'll try and help you with it. So your mum was right, James. I think having a goal setting process should be KISS, simple. So
we can stop the share.
We can stop the share, yeah. Yeah, having a goal setting process should definitely be simple. You basically want something that's easy, you can do it quickly, and it's just really important that you write it down somewhere. So basically there are lots of studies done that if you write something down, you're much more likely to achieve it, because I think similar to the vision, it actually goes through your head when you write it down, and therefore it's part of your DNA, what we were talking about with visioning last week. Definitely start off with something like that. you know, for me, as I said, I have a book which I do my really high level goals, and then I also have a whiteboard or you know, some stuck up bits of paper on my wall that I've got goals written down so that I focus myself. And I would say you need to look at them frequently. So I look at mine on a Monday morning when I do my weekly preparation, and you know, okay, like I'm just, the weekend's finished, I'm like, okay, where am I can look at my board and go, all right, okay, this is what I want to achieve this quarter. Okay, right, I know that, I'm just focusing on that. What are the tasks that need to be done in order to achieve this goal? What about you, James? What do you do?
Well, it is interesting. So what is interesting, you said about the whiteboard, and you know, I also have to have it really close to me. So I have them on my to-do list. At the top of my daily to-do list, I have my headline goals, because it means that they're up forever in my eyesight. You know what I mean? They're forever being looked at, even if they're longer term ones. It's as a reminder of that focus. But in terms of finding them, the process of me setting about goal setting, I really like start of a new week, right? I'm an optimist. So the idea that Monday's a new week is always a refreshing aspect. So there are really kind of 2 points when I do, well, 3, but I'll mention that in a second. 2 key points. So the first one is the start of a new year. I'm not a lover of News resolutions, things that you're going to give up or radically change, but I am a great believer in goal setting, and they tend to be for the new year more personal goals, things for me, because it's that thinking and looking at the whole year. I also do the same sort of path, again with a spreadsheet in hand, when I'm looking at my finances at the start of my financial year, which is April, and that's very much me saying, okay, this is how I financially performed in the last year, what difference do I want to make? And that might be things like diversifying income streams a bit, or having a bit more work in this area, not that area. But the other normally kind of funny, the ad hoc place where I do goal setting is when something goes wrong. So the pandemic being an obvious moment, but there are also other times when I lose a big contract, and I panic. And it's a really good time to come back and go, okay, what goals have I got? Are they still relevant? Do I need to add in more to get myself that peace of mind I mentioned earlier? So moments of flux, either a threat, or something's gone wrong, or something's changed radically, and I'm feeling unstable, is another time when I kind of sit down and go, right, goal setting, let's get back into it and find that place.
Yeah, I think that can be really grounding when you feel like something's gone really wrong and you don't know where you are, and it's like, okay, right, let's just go back to, okay, what are we trying to achieve here, and go through the process again and check that the right goals are on the list, or do you need to use a phrase of last year, pivot. So yeah, and I think, you know, this is again, like, we don't come and say you have to do X, Y, Z when you're goal setting. It has to be exactly like this. It's really whatever works for you, but you have to make sure that those goals are working for you. So, you know, have a bit of fun with it. You know, if you're a visual person, put it up on the wall, maybe use post-it notes. James is going to throw up a Kanban board in a minute so you can understand a bit about what they are. We've got a very simple one, but they can get quite complicated, but it's really about understanding what goals have you got and where are you at in achieving those goals, and you know, moving your goals through a process of okay, I've got, these are the goals to do, and you can prioritize them, like, you know, do your top priority at the top to the bottom as priorities changed. Obviously, if you do it with post-its, you can move them around. Then you can move them into a in progress. And I think really what's useful here is to think about, am I doing too many goals at once as well? Because sometimes we can sabotage ourselves by getting to a habit of starting too many things at once, and then nothing moves quick enough, and then your motivation wanes. So just thinking about, okay, what are you mainly focusing on? And then when you've done it, it's a really nice visual representation of what you've achieved and what's changed in your business, and you can celebrate that. So definitely look into Kanban boards. They're a Japanese invention, and there's lots and lots of templates on Google. Likewise, if you use Trello or Asana or any other type of business management tool, you can set similar Kanban boards up in there, or just use it in a way that you know where you are and you've got your goals on the left hand side. I know, like, I use Trello for my social media, and I've got the first row of I can't remember what they're called, but the first row I have my goals for the social media, and they always stay on the left hand side, and then all the actions I'm taking, I'm checking they're in service of those goals. Excel's also a great tool if you're an Excel spreadsheet kind of person, and one thing that I would say would be massively useful to all of you is to think about having someone else in your business to help you with this and help you keep accountable. It's something that I've done for years. It's something I use my co-founder of Hive for, as Carmel, for as well. We meet on a weekly basis, and we just have 10 minutes saying, right, this is what I'm working on at the moment, and just saying these are the tasks that I'm taking towards achieving this goal. So maybe finding yourself an accountability buddy could be one of your goals to set from today. Maybe you'll even meet that person here today. You never know. So, the more complicated you make this process, the more you'll struggle with focusing on it, the more you might procrastinate about it, and the more that your business won't develop. So, do really try to set a process that you enjoy doing, works for you. You are doing something. Make sure it's time boxed, make sure it's measurable, make sure that it's realistic, and then, see how it goes. And it's really about tracking that goal setting process too, because if you're not tracking the process, then you've no idea whether you're meeting your goals or not, and you've not got that nice tick at the end to make you feel good about yourself. I would say, if you are struggling with goal setting, if you're struggling to set them, obviously business advisors like James and I are around to help. I've got a new business coach at the moment because I'm wanting to take the business in a different direction this year. And I think, I know investing in, the financial investment in her will massively pay off, because she would just keep me so much more focused and on track and question me than I personally do just working with myself. So just thinking about, once you've set your goals, you do need to schedule in time to track them. I would, suggest every 3 or 6 months. It's about reflecting on your achievements, but it's also about, it's a journey to reach your goal, and thinking about what you learn on the way and how achieving one goal can then impact the other goals you've set yourself. Also, there's no perfectionism in here at all. So if you don't achieve all the 10 goals you set out to achieve, it's totally cool. It's not a problem. Just be mindful of the reasons why you might not achieve goals. Legitimately, often we take different directions in our business during the year, and we have to swerve around things that get thrown our way, and therefore some goals might not be right for us anymore. Some goals you might just decide, do you know what, not that into this year, I'm going to throw it into next year's goals. So just being agile and flexible, and just making this process work for you.
Liz, you've got a question? Your hand up.
Yeah, I just wondered if you've got any tips in terms of, like, you've set yourself goals, but you're still feeling a bit overwhelmed and procrastinating. What would you suggest to kind of get you going? And also, how granular would you go into detail with the goals?
So quite often procrastination can come about from not actually understanding the tasks that are required. So, like thinking about, I'm just going to make something up about your business, but, maybe thinking, right, I want to bring some sort of sound bath for, services into the business, without breaking that understanding what that goal is contributing to your business, and then thinking, how what are the actual tasks you need to do to get there. Like, often one thing we overlook is the research side of things. We should probably, whenever we start to think about a new service, we probably should do some market research. Do our clients want it? So a poll would be a tangible task to do. Talking to our current clients, just having those chats, and maybe looking at what our competitors are doing, what's going on in other sectors or other countries. So often we procrastinate because we don't understand actually what we should be doing.
And you don't eat the cake in one go, right? Or you can, but you'll be sick. It's always really important just to slice it up, take bits, and allocate those bits to days if you want to. I often, when I'm trying to do something new that's especially around sales, that I'm finding it annoying, I'll make sure I do an hour, the first hour of every day. I'll spend some time on it. Then I've done a bit towards the cake, and then I can tick it off for that day and be guilt-free for the rest of the day. Then I have that next hour the following morning, and that's a way that I use to kind of chunk through tasks that are sluggish. But
yeah, like if you find you procrastinate, a big thing to do is to schedule your time, like literally schedule all your time, so you know what you're doing at any one moment. You can use something like the Pomodoro method, which you basically would do sprints of maybe 60 or 90 minutes of work with some level of rest or reward afterwards. You can you can do something. Well, there's a book called Eat Your Frog, which is essentially saying the first thing in the morning is the time when we've got the most energy and the most able to start something new. So just spend literally 10 minutes doing the thing that you are procrastinating about, and you don't have to do it anymore. Just do 10 minutes, and then the next day you can come back and do 50 minutes and build up. So it's about taking the fear out of the thing that we're procrastinating about, because often it's just a fear of the unknown because we haven't actually clarified what we're trying to do. And what we do is then we build it up and build it up and build it up until it's like that, essay that we didn't write until 9 o'clock the night before it was due to be handed in for 3 months. So it, and a lot of us have got those hang-ups from old, of education of procrastinating on these things, and we do them kind of keep repeating that process into our daily lives now. So yeah, I actually, Liz, I've got a sheet about procrastination that I'm happy to share with you if you just want to send me an email afterwards. But it's quite involved, but essentially you have to force yourself to sit down and get started, and that is the way through it, because the more and more we hold off, the more and more we procrastinate, the worse it gets. So I think that's pretty much everything we've got for you today in terms of here's how you go about goal setting. We're going to do an exercise now.
Absolutely. So I mentioned this earlier on. So we'd like to do a quick exercise now where we'd like to ask you to have a go at creating one long-term goal, two medium-term goals, and then 4 sort of short-term, which is like 3 months ahead. Yeah. So you might say 3, 6, a year, or whatever time frame you want to put, but 1 long-term, 2 medium-term, and 4 short-term goals for 2022, or for the forthcoming year. So have a go. Check they're smart. So that idea of being specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and some sort of time element. But don't sweat the smart for now. For now, we just want you to sort of get a sense of what those differences are. And they're things you can work on. So let's take 5 minutes, start sketching, see if you can get 1 or 2 of those filled in. Okay, so we're 1/4 now. Has everybody managed to at least get 1 on that list of options?
Yeah.
Some nods. Well, if people are, Nat, do you want to lead this part or shall I?
You know what? I could. Can I jump in?
Go for it.
Sorry, I have just another Zoom meeting, yes, because I have, some of you know me, I don't have a problem with the goals. I have the problem with executing them because I have so many. And I think I'm getting like sometimes just overloaded with the goals, but I think I will just do it. Okay, the long term is the indoor skate park. This is the main 5-year plan. The medium, a proper refined business model, kind of like very attractive for this, future partners and sponsors, etc., etc. A bigger team. I can't do everything by myself. It's just overloading. And then short term will be more provision, more events, and more classes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So great that you've started to categorize them, but the advice would be for the next step would be to go back to the idea of SMART. So how do you change those very broad statements into being more defined chunks for your business, and also to be answering the why? So more classes, which means that I'll increase the reach with people, like the amount of people coming through the business, or I'll be increasing the amount of revenue earned from people paying to take part, and make that into a financial target. So you want to evolve them, because at the moment they're too broad. But that's a great start. You've got a sense of structure, but have a look and have a play with some of the SMART.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure.
I think with regards to that, Aga, I think if you put times on them, then you only need to focus on the ones that need action in the immediate time frame, in a way. So for you, it's almost like you need to have with the Kanban board, you've got like the swim lanes coming down for moving things across, but you would also have maybe a grouping for all the different things you're doing. So there'll be goals towards the skate park, there'll be goals towards other activities you're doing. So I think if you were able to visualize those, you can understand how the different goals for the different things you're doing might interact with each other, and maybe that's where you're going to get blockages. It's much better. It's it's like with us that have to-do lists. My inclination is to write 50 things on my to-do list. However, putting those 50 things on my to-do list is not going to get them done. What will get them done is if I choose 7 things to do in the month, and then each day focus on 3.
Right.
It just becomes overwhelming and unmanageable, and then we procrastinate even more.
Absolutely. Yeah. Great tips. Who else? Is anyone else willing to share some of what they've done there? Teoman?
Sure. So as a short term, I noted the Kanban board, and I think this idea about having my partner also be that kind of check person is great. To work on this finance Excel sheet that you distribute as well. Most likely, also, we talked with Nat about this before. Arranging a one-to-one coaching as well is still one of my goals for this year. As a medium goal within the next 6 months, larger projects than what I've been working on at the moment. So they are bigger, longer projects, and hopefully a non-residential project is a goal as well. And as a long-term, I think plan is to expand and get help so that I can move on to delivering larger projects.
Great. Well, it's great again that you've got that sense of structure. What is interesting, because you weren't at the last visioning workshop, not that you needed to be, but it's interesting in your approach. I don't know whether you did it, but I think you may have started with your short-term ones first and then looked at what comes next. Whereas I would encourage you to actually flip it around. Say, what's your long-term goal? And then make sure that your medium and your short-term have some relationship back to your long-term. And in many ways, you know, you can have a look at the video, it'll be online, but getting a sense of what your destination is, vision, and then the mission of how you're going to get there, and then saying, how do the goals help me achieve that, might mean that because sometimes when you're starting a new business, it's easy to look at the things that you can look at and put all of the energy in there. Whereas actually what we need to be doing is looking up and forward and then saying, okay, and then what does that mean for today?
Yeah, no, that's a very, I think, spot on observation, and that's something that I think setting that goal for myself, that vision is
exactly
the big challenge. Yeah.
No, obviously we're just starting these exercises today, so it's getting the ball rolling as opposed to it being complete.
Exactly.
We've got time for, I think, one or two more if people want to share. Liz?
Sorry, yeah, I don't mind sharing. So my long-term goal is to be earning 45,000 a year from my business by the end of December 2023, with a medium-term goal of earning 18,000 a year by the end of this year, which would equate to the equivalent of 100 paying monthly subscribers or thereabouts. So my short-term goals are then to have 50 paying subscribers by the end of July this year, and subsequently to write a content strategy and process map and publishing weekly free content on social media and weekly content as part of the on-demand subscription.
Before I ask you, let me just ask the group and then we'll come back. How does that sound in contrast to some of the others we've heard, hearing the numbers and the dates? Has anyone got an observation on how?
Very well. I think she is on the spot. Yeah. She's doing, I think I'm totally, yes, I think I will kind of follow your goal plan, yes?
It's like when you're climbing, suddenly the bits on the rock have got grip points. Yeah, you can feel how she's going to take those goals and make and achieve them, because she's got something to hold on to, and she knows when she wants to be at the destination and to achieve it. Liz, how did that make you feel doing it and you applying the exercise?
It was really useful, actually, because I think I've got bogged down quite a bit with sort of the social marketing side of things, and it all feels a bit vague. So actually realizing that actually what's going to underpin all of this is actually creating content. It's not necessarily about the posts about this and that. That's all kind of supplementary, and it'll be the content that I choose to have for free that will increase the social reach, which people into hopefully becoming subscribers, and then having down the line some more high value items like courses or retreats or whatever it might be.
And you can start making decisions that the only effort that really matters is putting content out that will attract people to convert them into customers, because that's your member target. So you can think, actually, it doesn't matter if I get 100 likes or I get 1,000 retweets, as long as the content I'm putting out is attracting that type of customer and they're booking, then it's working. And we can cut out all that noise about all of the other things you're supposed to be doing, and unless it's not working, and then you can keep tweaking it until it works. But that's the aim for your social media strategy. So I think there were really interesting set of examples, but there is a bit like with the visioning one. There's often when you follow the formula. So the formula in this one is SMART. It's amazing how much it unlocks the achievability of your goals.
So as a takeaway from today, we'd like you to go away and really think about what goal setting process you want to do. So just, thinking of some of the ideas we've mentioned today, having a book, using a to-do list, up on the wall, post-it notes, whatever. Just think about actually what process are you going to adopt, what's going to work for you, and then go out this week and buy or order online, whatever you need to do, buy the things you need. If you need post-its, you need a whiteboard, just get it, and while the iron's hot, you know, start that process off. And then, you know, thinking about how you're going to schedule the support of this process into your calendar. So maybe you need to put you know, every 3 months, put a reminder to review your goals. And then thinking about how you're going to embed your goals in you, and get goal setting. And we hope that it really helps you, you know, helps you to progress and be more focused and take more action in your business, which ultimately leads to success. So with that said, we're going to throw up another poll to see how you guys are feeling now. Now I've done this spreadsheet in a webinar exercise. We'll see, see how everyone's feeling. I know it was a bit risky. Okay, so the new poll, I think it's a similar question. The poll is, how confident are you at setting an effective goal setting process that will help you achieve your business vision? So again, gut feel, don't worry about overthinking it.
I think before hearing Liz's example, I felt a bit more confident.
So we got 1, 2, 3. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 this one. So we had a couple of 4s. Does anyone want to? I'll just share, end poll and share. Does anyone want to just share with us what extra help you would need, if you feel comfortable?
I was a 4. I think this was really helpful to get me started, but as kind of you pointed out, there's still a lot for me to set that main long-term goal and work back, and I mean, I feel like I can do a lot on my own to get to, let's say, 6 or so. Those are clear. But then, as I said, it's still, I think, one of my goals to also have a one-on-one coaching to.
Are you aware that the Elevate, you can book a funded one-to-one through the Elevate program? So I don't know if you have done it yet, but that might be a good next step.
I'll look into that. I haven't.
Yeah.
I saw this through Hive, which I follow. So sure. I haven't.
Great.
Arrived here through Elevate.
I think you can book a one-to-one with either me or Nat, and then there's also other.
that I'm aware of.
Yeah. So yeah, if you feel that you want a bit more support or to talk through this, don't hesitate to give me a call. I'll just put my contact details in the chat anyway, and I've also shared the procrastination tips on my website too. So I am Nat. That's Ian. So just to wrap up, we want to thank you all for coming. We hope it was food for thought, and you're going to feel excited to go away and actually write some of your goals down and think about them. As we mentioned, this is part of the Elevate programme supported by the London Borough of Waltham Forest, and in conjunction with the Business and IP Centre from the British Library that's based locally in Waltham, in Leytonstone. There are loads of events going on over the next 2 months. There's James and I have got one more webinar that we're running, which is going to be on business resilience and mindset on the 23rd of March. But there are tons from our pledge who help businesses be more sustainable, and also from Hustle and Heels, some more startup sort of practical webinars. Hive events coming up, so we're here to support you in the borough. We have a in-person event at Yonder next Wednesday evening on the 2nd of March. You can check out the details on our website. We've also got the following week an online meetup on the Monday and drinks at Signature Brew on the 17th of March. So please come and join us. Please follow us. We're at LDN Hive on Instagram, or Hive Collective on Facebook, and we've got a private Facebook group that you're welcome to join.